Hello. So I'm so glad to be broadcasting again. This is one of my favorite activities to do. It's one of my hobbies. And so I just really enjoy doing this. And I just really think that it's going to prepare me for the future. And like, I don't know what I'll be doing in the future, but I just think it will prepare me in the future for something. So I want to talk to you about So I want to talk to you about this magazine that I got when I was in Rochester, Minnesota. They have some people here that they're featuring, and it really kind of, I don't know, like I really related to the story because I just felt like uh, that I've kind of experienced the same thing in a way. I mean, his is, of course, like a much deeper level because he's trying to get into the priesthood, and of course, I was not trying to get into the priesthood, but it just seems like all most of my life I've been fighting the churches, and it's like we're all on the same team. Why are you guys fighting me so much? And so, yeah, so this is about Father Nicklas, and so I just want to read a little bit of the article, and then I will share some personal history. For some reason, I am just a little tired today. I'm not really sure why. So, okay, there's a quote. He told me to forget it. Although I was married in an Episcopal church, I wasn't very active in church life until I met an Episcopal priest in Findlay, Ohio, who was so natural, so genuine, and so authentic about life that I started going to his parish. One thing led to another. I became more active, and after several years, wondered if maybe I should explore some role in the church. I went to ask him what he thought about this, and he told me to forget it. He said that I had a job, teaching and coaching, a family to support, and it would be a big economic challenge. So this kind of reminds me of some experiences that I have had. Now, they say that you're supposed to volunteer in the church. You're supposed to serve the church, volunteer in the church. Well, it seems like, I mean, I just don't get it because I don't know if there's something about my personality, but they I had to fight tooth and nail to to be able to volunteer. So there was one time I was going to a church and they were going to be putting on this play. Well, I love acting. I was like so excited. I wanted to be in this play so much. So I submitted to be in the play and they were like really not wanting me to be in it, but they weren't really like coming out and saying it. And so what I did is I kind of like was able to help with the play, and like I was memorizing the lines because I had the book and I was just like reading along, and then I would go home and I would study it, so I knew the lines. Well, come to find out, the person who was supposed to be the wife in the play, she got sick and she couldn't be in the play. And so they were trying to figure out who they could substitute. And I'm like, I already know the lines. You could have me. And they didn't want to, but they let me. And I'm like, why? I just don't understand why it's such a big fight. Why do you have to fight me so much? I want to volunteer to help in the church. People are usually complaining that they're not having enough volunteers. And here you're complaining because I want to help out in the church. I just don't understand it. Okay, so that was that church. But then, after a while, I'm like, if they don't want me to help, I'm just not going to help. And so there was another church where they wanted me to help in the daycare. Well, I already did daycare 7 days a week. Why would I want to help out? And the only reason they wanted me to help out is because they said that that is my calling, that is my talent, is daycare. And so I think what it really was is that they didn't like the fact that I would bring daycare kids to church and put them in the daycare there, and then go to church. So somehow I was getting paid to watch the kids, and but they were in the daycare there. I wasn't actually watching them. Well, they could have just told me that, and I would just take them to church with me. I mean, it's not that big a deal. They're old enough. I can just take them with. I wanted the break, but it's true. It's not my kids, so But there was a whole big to do about that. They wanted me. They really didn't even want me to take the kids and into church because they said, this is their ministry to help with the kids. That they should really take the kids. but they want me to help because and I understood. Everything made sense. Like, I should help in the daycare because I have my daycare kids there. It shouldn't be just dumped on them. They are right. It was just hard to hear because, because I really wanted that break. So what I should have done is just told the parents I couldn't take the kids. But anyway, so there was that big deal. And it's just like this other church, they were asking for volunteers, so they have the little card, the little connect card, and you fill that out saying you want to volunteer. So I said I wanted to volunteer. I did it 3 times. I put on the card, and I know it's a big church, but 3 times, and so, like, I'm not really trying to complain about these churches, but it's just a growing problem. We have a problem, and if there's a problem, it needs to be fixed. And so this church that I made a big deal of it because I'm like, I have tried to volunteer in this church. You guys keep complaining you need volunteers. I put on the application 3 times that I want to help. And so we had a meeting and a big to-do. Well, I ended up being the longest volunteer they ever had. Most of the volunteers, they put in like months, a year, 2 years. I put in 6 years. 6 years of cleaning the windows, and a lot of times Phil would help me. 6 years of cleaning the windows in the front of the church. 6 years. And they don't want me to volunteer. So I had decided that I am tired of fighting these churches, and I'm just not going to do it anymore. And so I decided I'm just not going to volunteer in the churches anymore. I really don't have to volunteer. I was just trying to be nice. But if it's going to be that big of a deal, I'm not going to do it. And so with this church, I casually asked the pastor if they need any help because of some experience to put it on my resume. Because, someday I might want to work in a church, and it's really hard to get experience if you've never worked in a church. You need the experience, but a lot of times they don't want to pay for somebody that doesn't have experience, and then you can't get the experience because, so the whole thing. But I've said it once, and he has said that he's thinking about it and that he's trying to figure out where to put me. But I'm just waiting, and I am not going to ask him again because I shouldn't have to ask 3 times. I shouldn't have to ask twice. I mean, really? I shouldn't have to. I will ask twice, but I'm not going to. Not with this. Like, I just don't want to. If there's nothing that I can do, then I'm not going to do it. So that was my whole little tidbit there. This is back to the article. I tried to put it out of my mind, but it kept circling back. So I went to see him again. This time, he suggested that there might be some spiritual initiative at work. So he took me up to Cleveland to see the bishop. So I really think that it's man that is telling people that they can't do something. The bishop sent me out on a list of 10 things to accomplish to earn a follow-up visit. Get into a seminary, take the GRE, read various books, do an assigned retreat, take some classes, then meet with what is known in Episcopal Church jargon as the Standing Committee. So this whole process took around 3 years. I made it through the list, went back for a second visit with the bishop, and he gave me the okay. We sold our house, gave away our dog, loaded our stuff and the children into the U-Haul, and went off to the seminary. I tried and acted like I imagined a priest should act. In my first life, I was a football and track coach, and there were very moments of growth that athletics provided me, like learning to win that inner struggle that says I can't, and rising above it with your best effort. But in terms of my faith, there is personal moment of growth that goes back to that priest in Findlay, Ohio. When I was ordained to the priesthood, I was humbled and delighted. Early on, I tried to act like I imagined a priest should act. Then I discovered that all I needed was to be myself, that all I had to do was be my singular self-differentiated self, and the rest would follow. So it became a daily challenge. Being the religious leader and working to relate the faith to the 21st century dynamic world would be a daily challenge. In this ever-changing world, we need to expand our circles of empathy and understanding to be more inclusive than ever. Let me read that again because I want to reiterate this. Being a religious leader and working to relate the faith to the 21st century dynamic world can be a daily challenge. I think my keyboard is doing something with the book being on there. So, yes, I thought that was really great. So, the daily challenges that confront all practicing religious people are magnified in our flattening world. It is a big world with multiple faces and cultural perspectives, and we need to be willing to learn about and appreciate others every day. Appreciate others every day. Do you appreciate others every day? I try to. This isn't a guilt trip. My personal faith is tested daily by the physical and emotional comforts that allow me to forget about the struggles of others. There was one thing, I'm trying to do some research on public speaking, and I'm trying to get better. And so I read something in the Forbes, well, it was online, but it was basically the Forbes, and it was saying that, really people, when they make public speeches, it's usually, the whole point is to read something, or, not read, but talk about something that inspires you or relates to you, or maybe trying to present a product or whatnot to a group of people, like at work or something. And one thing they stated is that a lot of times the things that you're presenting, it really helps you, because it helps you to feel more strongly about it. And really, that's what this does to me. I mean, I know a lot of people don't watch my videos. A lot of people don't really watch the whole video. They may skip through. But really, this is for me. This is so that I can learn public speaking, so that I can be, I don't know, so that I can learn. It would be nice if maybe people could watch and give me some feedback, because that's the only way I can learn, is to a lot of it is material. A lot of times it's either material or presentation. You could have somebody who has the best subject ever, so interesting. They're gonna teach you how to explode a rocket. I don't know. And that's very exciting. But if you have somebody who presents it really bad, they don't have, they're not prepared, they don't have the lighter, they don't have, the rocket, they left it at home, or they left it in another room, they have to go get it. If you're not prepared and you're trying to do a presentation, you're going to lose a lot of people. Or you could have somebody who is talking about something completely boring, but they make it so interesting that you just keep watching. And so really it's about presentation. So that's what I'm trying to learn. And I know that sometimes, most of the time, I have materials that I'm reading, and then I'm doing my own personal dialogue about them. But the reason behind that is because that's how I can learn on how to present things. And eventually I'll have my own things, completely mine. But I think this is just a good learning point. And I have done so much. I have started this at least 3 years ago, I think. I don't know. I lose track of time. But I have really changed a lot in my approach and all that kind of stuff. I have learned so much. And today I probably don't have the best lighting. I probably should have turned that lamp on. So there's another thing about being ready. And I didn't do this on time because I was filling out a job application that took a lot longer than I thought. But to me, a job application is really important, and so I really need to finish that. I was afraid they would time me out and then have to start all over. So yeah, so it's really about presentation and everything. So for me to continue now, my personal faith is tested daily by the physical and emotional comforts that allow me to forget about the struggles of others. This isn't a guilt trip. It's not about being judgmental of the circumstances, conditions, or styles that I see every day. I work on patience daily. I also work on extending the development of the mission of my church and lengthening our horizons. We don't want to become the bland leading the bland. And that's what I'm talking about. Is I'm trying to make sure that my videos are not too bland, but I have a feeling sometimes they are. And that's just a learning process. And so I'm hoping that over time I'll be able to, I don't know. I think it really just depends on the material. I try to present it, in a very fresh, funny, not funny. Sometimes not funny. Sometimes I need other people to be funny, and sometimes it just depends. But I did take some really great notes when I was at church on Sunday, and I would love to present that. I can't wait to present that, so I'm gonna prepare that, and then I'll present that. But one thing that I'm going to be doing is we were just at where were we? The fair? Yeah, the fair. And they had a booth, like how they have the booth set up, and I got some materials from the Jehovah's Witnesses. And so I love their publications because I just love to read them. They're relevant, to today's world. And so I will be doing the same thing as I'm doing with this magazine and reading, some of it. Like I'll pre-read it and like make notes and stuff to see where my life relates to it. To me, as far as right now, I really need to have a magazine or something that we talk about because I myself, I'm not really going to know what to talk about because, especially now that I don't have a job, I don't really have, nothing happens. And like even at church, we go to church, um, not much happens. So I really need the magazines. So I think it's kind of like talking to somebody. So, when I have this, it's like talking to somebody. So hopefully it's not too boring for you, but maybe you'll be interested in the Jehovah's Witnesses publications that I have. So that is all I am going to present today. I hope you have a wonderful and blessed day. I hope that I did not talk too much. And I hope you'll share this video if you think that somebody could benefit from it. But if not, then I hope you just have a wonderful and blessed day. Bye bye.